Did you ever laugh so hard that you start crying and then realize mid-sob you're not even laughing anymore? Well, welcome to the Joker movie. This, lads, isn't just a movie. It's a mirror. It's the reflection of a lot of life. Now, I recommend this movie to all men and all women. Now, as you know, lads, I try and find the generic movies here. And I genuinely believe, and if any ladies have not seen this, you have to see this. Why? Because it isn't about blood and guts. There's one or two clips, scenes in there, yeah, but it's no big deal. But it's the fascination of the dark side of humanity. And boy, oh boy, does this movie turn it on its ass, make you think about yourself. The Joker isn't just that voice in your head you pretend isn't there when you smile politely in public, but fantasize about drop kicking the guy eating Doritos too loudly on the bus. You know the one. Now, let me tell you why we all need to see it. Hey, everybody with a pulse needs to see this movie. Peter. Now, you can relate to the Joker a lot in this movie because society loves pretending we're all fine. You know, just shut up, get in the corner, and just stay there. We don't want to hear your problems. Now, that we're all just nice, productive, LinkedIn optimized, oat milk consuming citizens about our day, right? Joker says, yeah, well, whatever to that, throws a brick through the window of your comfort zone and says, hey, remember pain? Remember loneliness? Remember that crushing weight of being invisible while pretending you're not falling apart inside? Yeah, the Joker remembers. And he wants to dance about it, and on top of some stairs. Now, here's the setup. We've got Arthur Fleck, played by the wonderful, the amazing, the out of this world Joaquin Phoenix is without doubt, I think, the best performance he's ever done. Now, I'm going to admit it too. I would not make him as better as the Heath Ledger Joker. Absolutely not. It was a different type of Joker he brought to the table. Now, Heath Ledger, he did his portrayal, obviously, long time ago, way before Joaquin Phoenix did his. Heath Ledger won the Oscar, and Joaquin Phoenix won the Oscar. Two completely different characters playing the same character. So it's unbelievable, man. And you know, the Joker here it's a mentally ill, socially isolated man in a city that's forgotten people like him actually exist. He's invisible. No one sees this guy. He's mocked. He gets jumped for no reason. The city's a mess. He's on seven different medications. His job is utterly, utterly humiliating. And people treat him like he's less than. And worst of all, he's trying to fit in. He's trying to be nice to people. He's trying to make people laugh in a weird way, but you can see he has good intentions. He's trying to stay good, to smile, to laugh, to sign, you know, and that's not just about the shop. That's him. Every bit of Arthur is getting stripped away piece by piece. And then it happens. Bang. He gets beaten up. Yeah. He gets fired, lied to, betrayed. He gets mocked by his hero. And I won't give too much away here, and I'll be very careful with what clips I'm showing today to the lads for you. And society shrugs, and that's when we're all starting to get nervous. You can feel the dark intensity start to rise here, because this movie, it's not about a supervillain. It's about a man breaking down in a world that says, don't you dare make us uncomfortable with your pain. And as the Joker spirals, the audience, we start to spiral too. Because deep down we know we've all kind of been him to a degree. I'm not saying all that intensity, but we've all been invisible to some people. We've all been mocked. We've all been lied to, betrayed. We've all been there. And that's the brilliance of this movie. You're on this gravy train with him, and we've all sat on that train dressed up for something that didn't pan out. We've all faked a laugh. We've all thought, is it just me, or is it getting a bit crazy out here? And that's the brilliance of it. This is not a comic book movie. This is a Greek tragedy in clown makeup. Arthur isn't the villain necessarily because he's the villain. He's the villain because he tried to be good and it didn't work, if that makes sense. And let's talk about that laugh. Oh man, that's just weird. It's not funny. It's creepy, intense, dark. It's a medical condition. You'll see what I mean when you see the movie. It comes from trauma. Think about how effed up that is. A man whose pain sounds like joy. I mean, this is peak human irony, right? The real turning points, the Murray Franklin show. And of course, we won't show you any clips, lads. We will certainly ever not try and ruin this because, oh man, wait until you see this scene if you've not seen this movie. And if you've seen it, you know the scene, and you've got to watch this movie again instantly. He walks on stage like just a broken man, half real, half performing, and very dangerous. And he delivers the line, I have it here on my screen, what do you get when you cross a mentally ill loner with a society that abandons him and treats him like trash? And right there, lads, we all go, oh jeez. We feel like we've got a rock sitting under our backside here and we've got to adjust ourselves and get rid of it. Because suddenly, it ain't got them anymore. It's us. It's the now. It's the forgotten people, the overlooked, the ones who can't afford therapy or who grew up with nothing but silence in their homes. The movie stops being fiction and becomes an effing documentary. And Arthur doesn't care anymore. He stops trying to fit in, and it's terrifying, but also kind of liberating, being honest. And here's where I land this dark, gritty, brilliant mess of a movie. Why should you watch The Joker? Because we need to stop pretending we have a Joker inside of all. We don't have a Joker inside all of us. We all have a dark side. We all have a Joker. That kind that doesn't filter or polish it. Women need to see it because it can show you how easily men can fall apart when they can't express their vulnerability. You know? And I'm sure women for themselves, you can relate to that too. We can all lose it from time to time. It's about loneliness, identity, its worth, and the chaos that comes when we ignore all of it for way too long. And yes, it's disturbing. Yes, it's unsettling. But it's very truth-telling too. And sometimes the truth shows up in clown shoes here, lads. So go watch The Joker, not for the violence, not for the memes, not because it won Oscars. Watch it because it tells you the truth that no one wants to say out loud. We're all just one bad day away from dancing on those steps too. All right, lads, let's cut to the chase. Good Will Hunting. I'm so excited to talk about this one here. I love talking about all of them, but this is one of my favorites. This isn't just a movie. This is a therapy session disguised as drama. It's that one friend who calls you on your BS, but does it in a way that actually makes you listen. And at the heart of it, Robin Williams. Now, I don't care who you are, what you're into, what movies you watch. You need to see this film. Because whether you're the smartest guy in the room or just trying to figure out where the hell your life is going, Good Will Hunting hits you like a freight train, man. And the best part, it sneaks up on you. 1 minute you're watching Matt Damon flex his genius in a bar, dunking on some Harvard snob, and then the next, you're sitting there questioning every decision you ever made in your life. Then there's the park scene. Oh, dear God. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest monologue to ever be on movie. Ever. And if you've seen it, you already know what I'm talking about. And if you haven't, buckle up. Let's talk about actual Will Hunting, Matt Damon. The guy's a genius, but an absolute disaster. He's a mess. And he's got a brain that could change the world, right? He's one of those guys, but what's he doing with it? Working construction, drinking with his buddies, picking fights for the laugh. And why? Because he's afraid. Afraid of failure, afraid of success, afraid of letting anyone in. The guy has walls built so high, even Spider-Man couldn't climb them. When a professor discovers his talent and tries to push him towards greatness, what does he do? He self-sabotages. Because it's easier to stay in your comfort zone, right? That's what a lot of psychologists would tell you, than to risk finding out you're not as special as you think. And where's Sean Maguire? Robin Williams comes in. Because if there's one person who sees through his crap, it's Robin Williams. We get into the nitty-gritty. Did you know this about Good Will Hunting, lads? Well, Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, they won the Oscar for this movie, for the screenplay. Sheer genius in this script. Incredible. Two guys from Boston, broke guys from Boston, and writing a script that would change their lives forever. Robin Williams made the park scene iconic, clearly. Almost entirely improvised. I mean, that's what just makes it even better. And then when he finishes, Matt Damon looks down because he was actually crying. And then Harvey Weinstein, that freak, but he almost screwed it up. The studio originally wanted to turn this into a weird thriller about Will being chased by the government, right? Thankfully, Affleck and Damon said no. Even though I kind of liked that sound of it, but that had to be a different movie, you know? Not Good Will Hunting. Robin Williams' final line in the movie was improvised. When he said, "Son of a bitch, you stole my line." That wasn't in the script. That was just Robin Williams being Robin Williams. In the monologue. Picture this. The two lads, Will and Sean, they're sitting on a park bench. Will's been playing his usual crap, thinks he's got everything figured out, cocky as hell. He's read every book, he's studied everything, and he thinks he knows it all in life. And then Robin Williams drops the bomb. "If I asked you about art, you'd probably give me every art book I've ever written, etc., etc." Boom. In the matter of minutes, he destroys Will's entire world because knowledge is an experience. He just gives him some home truths. And it keeps going. And then he asks him, is he an orphan? And by the time you're done, Will isn't cocky anymore. He's very, very quiet. Because for the first time in his life, somebody saw right through him. And this scene is why Robin Williams is one of the greatest actors of all time. This put him right up there, man. He wasn't playing a role. He was talking to us. This isn't just about Will Hunting. It's about everyone who's ever thought that knowing facts is the same as living life, you know? And it's for every guy who thinks he's got dating figured out because he's read some book, but's never actually fallen in love. You know, even when Robin Williams says, "Once more into the breach, dear friends." Oh, good Lord. It's for everyone who thinks they've got life figured out, but in reality, they've never stepped outside their comfort zone. And by the end of the movie, Will finally gets it. He does. And he realizes that all his knowledge, while impressive, means diddly squat. Means nothing. If he doesn't let himself experience life, he's done, man. And that's the lesson. We've all got the tendency. We know things because we've read about them. We think we've got people figured out because we've analyzed them. Some people have got the bachelor's university degree. What the hell does that give you to know what real life is like? You know? And a lot of this is very relatable. But the only way to understand it is live it. And if you haven't seen it, watch it. You got to. Because you'll watch this again and again and again and again. It's about living. And if it doesn't convince you, just go sit in a park bench and let Robin Williams wreck your soul for 4 minutes. All right, let's get real here, lads. If you've ever watched Braveheart and didn't immediately want to grab a sword, paint your face blue, and run into battle screaming freedom, then I don't trust you. This movie is pure testosterone. It's got everything. It's got epic battles, tragic romance, betrayal, and an Australian guy absolutely butchering the Scottish accent, but we don't care because the film makes every single person who watches it feel like they could lead a rebellion. And yet, did you know almost none of it actually happened? Yeah, that's right. William Wallace was real. But Braveheart is about as historically accurate as a Fast and a Furious movie. Guess what? But we don't care. We don't. This film isn't about accuracy. It's about passion. It's about fighting for what you believe in. And mostly it's about watching Mel Gibson absolutely lose his mind in the most glorious way possible. The movie kicks off with our man William Wallace. He's just a regular guy who wants a peaceful life. And Hollywood loves this setup. Let's be honest, we all do, don't we? Because what's better, really, than a reluctant hero who just wants to chill, but then some English soldier does something horrible, and now he's got to go kill everyone? Classic action, like John Wick's dog Maximus, Family and Gladiator, William Wallace's wife. It's all the same energy. And of course, the villain in this story is King Edward. Oh, Longshanks, this dude. Let's be honest, is one of the most evil bad guys ever put on screen. I mean, the guy has the same energy as a James Bond villain. And then there's his son, Prince Edward, in this film. As useful as a wet paper towel. And his wife Isabella. Oh, well, we'll get to that historical nonsense later. But here's the real issue. The English have taken over Scotland. Wallace has had enough. He's going to start a full-scale rebellion. And he's going to do it with style. Now, before we get into the real madness, here's a couple of did-you-knows about this movie, lads. Mel Gibson was actually too old for the role, believe it or not. He was around 27, William Wallace, the real William Wallace, when all this happened. Mel Gibson, almost 40. But Hollywood logic said, no, we'll get this to work. The real Wallace didn't wear a kilt. That's right. Kilts weren't even a thing yet, apparently, in Wallace's time, but let's be honest. Would the movie be as cool without them? Absolutely not. The epic speech, and it is epic, never happened. Wallace didn't actually stand in front of an army painted in blue yelling about freedom. In reality, most of his battles were glorified bar fights with screaming and some stabbing. The princess love story is pure fiction. This movie makes it look like Wallace had a steamy romance with a princess. Problem? She was literally a child when Wallace was alive. So not even close to meeting him. Hollywood, you sneaky so-and-sos. The Irish army cheering for Wallace never happened. That scene where the Irish and Scots meet on the battlefield, charge at each other, then suddenly become best friends. Total rubbish. But it's good. Now let's talk about the battles. Because, my God, does this movie know how to make medieval war look epic? And, you know, this is before a lot of the movies really push the envelope. This is one of the movies that helped other movies push the envelope for battle scenes. You know, it really was. So, Battle of Stirling, not bridge. Because the actual battle took place on a bridge. Which the movie completely ignores, but we forgive it. Because what we get instead is a slow motion, mud-splattered, axe-swinging masterpiece of medieval violence. Wallace shows up with the paint on his face and delivering the speech. And even though none of it's real, you can't help but feel hyped, man. If you're not ready to charge into battle at this moment, you have no soul. And then we get to the real star of the show. Of course, the Irish guy. You know the one. The absolute lunatics who claims he speaks to God and he's here for the crack. Every great war film needs that one psycho who enjoys violence way too much. And this guy delivers. So Wallace keeps winning battles. And the Scots are rallying. Everything seems to be going well. Which obviously means it's all about to go horribly wrong. Right? Then enters Robert the Bruce. Now, Robert the Bruce is an actual Scottish legend. But in this movie, he's basically Scottish Charles Leclerc. A guy with all the potential, but constantly getting screwed by bad strategy, if you know your Formula 1 here, lads. And boy, does he make a horrible call at Falkirk. And Wallace expects him to fight with him. But instead, the guy turncoats faster than a Ferrari pit stop. Wallace gets surrounded, betrayed, and somehow almost survives all the way through. But then we get to the moment that really hurts, when Wallace gets captured. Then we get to the real Oh dear Lord, the tearjerker of the movie, lads, and oh my God, it's insane how emotional it is. If you really take this movie in, it's insane. Now look, Braveheart it's objectively full of lies, okay? It's as historically accurate as a team saying they fixed the porpoising. But does that matter? It doesn't. We love movies. This is what we want to be entertained for, right? This movie it's not a history lesson. It's a feeling. It's about standing up for what you believe in and fighting against the odds. And most importantly, looking absolutely badass while doing it. And this movie delivers that, man. It's a racing film in a way, in a funny way. Wallace is the underdog driver. Then you got the corrupt FIA. You got Robert the Bruce guy, who's a guy who should have won but made a dumb strategy call. And at the end of the day, what does Wallace teach us? That whether it's in battle, on the track, or in life, the most important thing is do not let anyone take your freedom. I know that sounds probably corny, but, oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Braveheart.
Peter.
Wow.